Are we ready? All right, let's call the meeting to order at 6:00 p.m. First item on the agenda is roll call.
Aaron Moran is absent. Chris Zellner.
Here.
Joseph Sisberger.
Here.
Kristen Runge.
Here.
Nyla Fry.
Here.
Jack Heineman.
Here.
Sam Kaufman.
Here.
All right, next item on the agenda is confirmation of open meeting compliance.
And I can confirm that the draft agenda was published in the Waunakee or in the Tribune Enterprise on 1/16. The final agenda was posted in all 3 official posting locations on 1/15, and the final agenda and packet were made available online on 1/14. For those in the audience, please be sure you've signed in for accurate record keeping. And anybody else interested in public comment, just hand me a form prior to the end of the public comment.
All right, next up then is public comment.
We have Maria Pat at 1000 Wexford Drive, Waunakee.
As we are into an election year here for the village board, I am hoping that I'm giving enough reminder and notice that I want to know about meetings in advance to meet the candidates. I don't want to find out after the event is over that I missed my opportunity to talk to folks. So you've got until probably mid-March, later March to get that information out. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the comment. All right, next up.
Next up is Michael Weber at 1400 Amana Court.
Hello, members of the village board and the Waunakee community. My name is Michael Weber. Okay. Just start over. Hello, members of the village board and Waunakee community. Thank you. My name is Michael Weber, and thank you for allowing me to speak tonight. I am a Waunakee resident and a current member of the Sustainable Waunakee Ad Hoc Committee. I am speaking in support of the Sustainable Committee becoming a standing committee moving forward. I only have 3 minutes tonight, so I would like to share 3 words and some additional comments with the village board and the community. Appreciation, awareness, and action. Appreciation to the board, fellow committee members, and the Waunakee community for their support of the current Sustainable Waunakee Ad Hoc Committee. I have been impressed by everyone who's given their time, expertise, and ideas. A special thank you to Nyla Fry and Lauren Freeman for your leadership during this time. Not all communities and the village boards take the time to evaluate ideas that are brought to them, as it takes time and resources and a commitment. So thank you. Your decision tonight is an important one, and as a member of the community, I also appreciate that you have to consider other points of view. Awareness. Sustainability means something different to each person. If we went around the room, all of us would have a different idea of what sustainability means. I remember, and that's okay. I remember our ad hoc committee getting together for the first time. And when we went around the room, I don't think there was 2 of us that agreed on what the word even meant. Over the last 2 years, we were allowed to share our thoughts. We were provided opportunities to learn what other communities were doing and companies were doing related to sustainability practices. Although our individual thoughts were respected, we were also challenged to think outside the box. I think it's also important that everyone in this group is aware that this is not a just check your box item and move on. What can be done, how it can be approached, and what individuals consider a success could be different to all of our members of the community. Action. I support and recommend the village board making the Sustainable Committee a standing committee in Waunakee. The sustainability plan was created, contains the voices of many residents of our community. It also provides items that could be accomplished today and in the future. It was developed and created with the intent of respecting all voices, even if they don't agree with our own. In today's environment, I think that's already an accomplishment. The creation of a standing sustainable committee for the village of Waunakee shows our community we appreciate their feedback, we are aware it's a dynamic issue, and we're willing to take action moving forward. Thank you for considering.
Thank you very much.
Next up is Linda Ashmore at 114 South Street, Waunakee.
Hi, I'm Linda Ashmore, and I'm here also as a member of the.
Oh, Mike on. Thank you, Linda.
Hi, I'm Linda Ashmore, and I'm here also as a member of the current Ad hoc Sustainability Committee. I'm very thankful, as Mike is, that we have the committee, that it was created. It was due to a lot of persistence with Isaac, the high school student who kept coming here saying, we need a committee, we need to really look at sustainability. I think that Kristen did a great job of putting together a committee of people who were really motivated and knowledgeable. And if we didn't know something, we were willing to go learn about it. We paid thousands of dollars for a sustainability plan, and MSA did a great job with the sustainability plan. So I'd like to see us work on following their suggestions. We had a choice as a sustainability committee of looking at more general goals, or that we wanted to look at specific implementation goals with timelines. And we chose the one with timelines and goals. The plan broke suggested actions into short-term, midterm, and long-term goals. The midterm and long-term goals go beyond the suggested 2-year term of an ad hoc committee. Resident input was solicited through a survey, focus groups, and several pop-ups. Sustainability is popular with people and is an ongoing concern, so I would like to see it be a standing committee longer than an ad hoc 2-year committee. Some of the reasons we recommended a sustainability committee be a standing committee were continuity. If we have something that's continuous, you don't have to build up momentum again. And commitment. It shows that the village is really committed to working on sustainability. Credibility is also another thing that comes with being a standing committee. It shows other communities and our community that we are serious about implementing sustainability actions. Some of the reasons I've heard from maybe making it an ad hoc committee were concerns about staff time. If you have an ad hoc committee, you're still going to have staff time. At the last sustainability committee meeting, we discussed the future of the committee, and a popular suggestion was to create something like a Friends of Sustainability group, kind of like Friends of the Library group, that they could do some of the legwork, freeing up some staff time. Another reason that I heard was concern about it being a standing committee was that maybe it'd have too much power. But like any other standing committee, it only advises. The village board gets to vote on any of the issues. So please follow through on the recommendation by the Sustainability Committee to make this a standing committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda.
Eric Sullivan at 1917 Manchester Crossing, Waunakee.
Good evening. I'm here to speak in support of a permanent sustainability committee. Some folks will say there is no global climate crisis to address. And I would say to them, have you seen the changes to your homeowner's insurance? The insurance industry thinks there is a climate change and is requiring you and me to pay for it. Some folks will say, well, leave it to the market to address. We have, and that's why we have a crisis. Markets are good at allocating capital and setting prices. They're lousy at dealing with controversy that requires moral judgment. At its heart, sustainability is about ethics. It's about what we do day by day with all the little choices about what kind of world do we leave our kids and our grandkids. It's about action, what we do to take care or to be careless. A committee to communicate with citizens who are interested, what could I do to make a difference? Or instigate with staff, what can the village do to make a difference, is needed because none of the other committees have that focus. All similar sized Dane County communities have a sustainability function. We do not. By voting in favor of this action, you're saying, I will take action, and we, us, the community, gives a damn about what kind of world we leave as our legacy. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric.
Next is Jerry Ashmore at 114 South Street, Waunakee, has prepared a written statement to be read out loud. His statement is, I support establishing the Sustainability Committee as a standing committee in the village. Next up is Julie Baldwin at 408 North Ridge Drive, Waunakee.
Hi there. I too am a member of the ad hoc committee for the State Sustainability Committee, and I'm here in support of establishing it as a standing committee. I did not do as good of a job as my cohorts on the committee of preparing a well thought out statement, but I do think that with the growth of our community, it is extremely important for us to keep considering how our impact is on the world around us for our future and show our commitment to our children and our children's children for the world that we live in. I think also a variety of members will be a part of a standing committee as opposed to just having the same ad hoc committee, though we are a great group, I won't lie. It will be really important to keep going in the direction, we all have our own direction at the moment that we're moving together but separately, as Mike was talking about earlier. But as we can bring in new members of a standing committee, I think that will really help move us forward in whatever way. We have no idea what the future holds for us. So again, I'm here in support of making the Sustainability Committee a standing committee. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Julie.
And we have no other forms, but we do have a couple people in attendance, and I do see a hand raised. So I will call on Isaac Drensvik. If you could state your name and your address, please, for the record.
Hello, good evening. My name is Isaac Drengsfit, and I live at 1510 Centennial Parkway in Waunakee. I was a member of the Sustainability Committee from its inception while I was still a student at Waunakee High School. I'm currently a sophomore at UW-Madison studying environmental science and studies in the Nelson Institute. Over the past year and a half, the committee has made great progress in sustainability for the village. We met with several village departments, local businesses, and state organizations. Staff also submitted a grant proposal, which we won, bringing 4 EV chargers to our library parking lot. We also engaged many community members and stakeholders to complete our main charge, the Waunakee Sustainability Plan. That plan, which real taxpayer dollars were spent on, directs the village to continue acting with sustainability in mind. As a student studying the environment and governmental policy surrounding the environment, I have never seen a good example of government ending or postponing the creation of sustainable initiatives. I might be biased, but that's what I've seen. As a community member and member of the ad hoc committee, I do not believe extending the ad hoc status to be the right direction for our village. In its final meeting, the committee unanimously voted to recommend creating an advisory but standing committee. My vote was not to extend ad hoc status, nor were any of the other members. It would be abnormal for the village board to continue with an ad hoc committee when considering other local municipalities. 11 surrounding communities in Dane County, to my count and to the count of the Dane County Office of Energy and Climate Change, alone have permanent sustainability committees, including many similar to our size in government, like Cross Plains, Mount Horeb, Verona, and Oregon. Many of these took the same route as us, beginning with an ad hoc committee, and to my knowledge, none extended ad hoc status beyond the completion of their planning periods. Sustainability is more than spending tax dollars to protect the environment. It means to sustain everything, including finances. Many practices and policies will actually save the village tax dollars in energy savings, wastewater reduction, and more, all of which were thoughtfully researched by MSA in the plan the village board unanimously adopted. Currently, the committee has no budget and costs the village just the staff hours spent at our meetings, which does not change between ad hoc or standing status. Waunakee is a beautiful and prosperous town. We must continue to better serve our community and our environment. To do that, the village board should make a permanent promise to work towards a more sustainable future. Extending ad hoc status does nothing to reduce staff hours or save the village any money, but it does show the village we are unwilling to make a commitment to its people or its environment. I urge you all to vote in favor of the committee's recommendation to create a standing committee. Thank you for your civic service to Waunakee and the chance to speak tonight.
Thank you, Isaac.
And I see one other member online, but I believe they're here for another agenda item. So unless there's any more hands,
That should be all of our public comment.
All right. Thank you all for your comments, and I assume you'll stick around for the discussion. And if not, we're happy to have you here tonight. All right. So with that, then next up is consent agenda.
I'd like to pull number 3 and 4.
All right.
I'll move approval of 1, 2, and 5.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. To you, Nyla?
Okay, item number 3, approve resolution writing off uncollectible municipal court for forfeitures. I talked earlier with you about it, and I just want you to explain to the public exactly when this is usually done every year and why it's usually done.
Yes, so each year, typically it has been the second meeting in January. The court clerk puts forward this, and I'm the spokesperson for that tonight, but the court clerk and the municipal judge go through the prior year's outstanding accounts and determine which ones they don't, they've exhausted all the efforts that they can. And that was listed in the memo, and reasons why they can't put those through to state debt collection because they don't have all the necessary information. So they go through those together and then they give them to me to bring forth to this meeting.
Okay, thank you. And then item number 4, approve resolution writing off uncollectible delinquent personal property taxes. And the question that I received and I asked you about earlier today was about writing off Vino's taxes. Could you please explain that?
Yeah. Well, first, just broadly, so personal property went away as of January 1st, 2025, but we still have ones that we're trying to collect on. These particular businesses, and specifically the question about Vino, are no longer in business. The ones that were delinquent from the 2023 tax year, we had charged those back to all the other districts, or the school district, the county, and the Madison College. We received our share. And so this is just requesting what's left on for the village. But in particular, Vino, because I think the person asking it had noted that there's still other Vinos open in the Madison area. However, each of them are separate. This one was owned by Vino Waunakee LLC, which is the business that's out of business. So we can't really go after anybody else for that. And so, again, that's why this one's on the list.
Okay, thank you. And I would like to move to approve items 3 and 4 on the consent agenda.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you for asking for those explanations, Nyla. Those are very useful for everyone to know. All right, next up then is reports and announcements. Sustainable Waunakee Ad Hoc Committee.
I think from all the presentations we had tonight, everybody pretty much knows what our discussion was at the last Sustainable Waunakee Committee. And so stay tuned to see what happens. Thank you.
Parks and Rec.
We approved the concept plan for the new water wheel park, and that'll probably come here as a consent agenda item at our next meeting.
Excellent. EMS.
We just basically heard an update from the chief. We didn't have any specific items, so really nothing new.
All right, plan.
We tabled a discussion about the middle school accessory shed. One of the items was pulled and we approved rezoning at the airport.
Thank you. Joint plan.
Just the solar facility project was reviewed again and deferred to the next meeting.
Right. Wannaboom.
We talked mainly about budget for this year's event. Things are going very nicely for that. We also talked about potential for increased need for security for the events and approved several of the contracts.
And for the Community Development Authority, we approved 3 grants to different households through the Waunakee Housing Betterment Fund. We contemplated some program revisions to make adjustments for the increase in home values and allow for more people to be put into the program. And then we had a discussion about bringing the new executive director of the Madison Community Land Trust out for a meeting to talk about doing a project together. Library Board.
Friends of the Library had a very successful holiday bingo event once again, and our special events coordinator is leaving at the end of this week. So we had some discussion on the position and the job description, but we took no action.
All right, other boards, commissions, committees, or any other announcements or anything anyone would like to share?
The only announcement I was going to make is for the boards, committees, and commissions, those that their terms are expiring in the next 90 days, they will receive an email, and everybody will need to reapply through the online app, and they'll just get an email with that. And they can go ahead and apply if they're interested in continuing. Nope, you're not. No phishing attempts. It's legit.
All right. And applications are open year round for committees. So if
Correct.
people are not on a committee or a commission and are watching tonight or in the audience tonight and would like to, now would be a great time to think about applying. So, all right. Any other announcements? All right. With that, let's go to the presentation of the new website design. Very exciting.
Yeah, I'll take this one. I'll share my screen here. So this morning at 9 a.m., our new website was launched. The anticipation.
Drum roll.
There we go.
Ooh.
So we had 3 goals that we wanted to accomplish with this. The first one being it's super important for us to be ADA compliant with our website. And with this redesign, that was one of the main focuses. So if someone were to be using a screen reader, that'll be able to read through our website much better. It'll be able to tell what order things should be read in, which wasn't something that was always going to work on every single page of our website previously. The second one is that we wanted .gov to be our new landing page and our new website, which as you can see up at the top here, it is. This really helps to enhance public trust, and then that's also something that we'll need down the line to access our election software. And the third one was the look of our website. We really wanted that to be enhanced. So I'm just going to run through here some of the things that we did with this redesign. For starters, as you can tell, our logo isn't super big anymore in the middle of the page, taking up all that real estate. It's up here now, and we have these beautiful little menus. Before, with all the sub-menus that we had on there, it was a little hard to differentiate which items were under what tab. Now this is a lot easier to see. We have our social icons up here, which obviously since my start, that's something that we're really focusing on. So it's nice to have those right here for easy access. And then we also have the search bar stills right there, right up on the top for anybody who needs to use them. We have our quick links right here in the center. Those are the same as before. But the really big thing, we've been spending a lot of time highlighting different topics that come up that are of importance to the public. Before they were a little bit hidden, but now when you go to our website, you can see them right there. You don't have to scroll very far. It's easy to see and easy to read more about them. If you scroll down a little bit further, we have our meetings and events. They're still right there, easy to access. You can click on them to get more information. And we have our blog posts on the homepage too. So this is something that we've been working to build is our blog. It helps to enhance some of the communications that we have going out. Obviously on social media, there isn't a ton of space to be sharing a lot of text, but that's where we can link back to here to our blog posts. So as you can see, we have in our blog post, we're highlighting the new mapping system that Austin put together. Super awesome. So if anybody hasn't checked it out yet, go to this blog post to click on it. And then another really big piece is our social feeds. We know that not everybody's on social media, and we are using it actively, but you don't have to have social media now to see what we're posting. You can go right here onto our social feed, see our Facebook or our Instagram. So then the internal pages, we didn't do a whole lot with them, but I think what we did do is going to make a major impact. Before on our side tabs for all of the internal pages, they were white and kind of blended in with the web page. Now they have their own box around them. It's clear that it's something separate, but also draws your eye to it so that you know, hey, there's more information over here. So that's our new website. If I can answer any questions, I'm happy to.
Right. Before we open it up for questions, wow. This looks really great. And so much work goes into making a website look good and be functional and be ADA compliant. So congratulations. And job well done. With that, what questions do we have or comments?
Thank you, and I'm glad we have the .gov.
So are we.
Other comments, Joe?
Can you speak at all to the website sign-in button at the top?
Yeah, so if someone wants to set up an account, they can use that to do so. There's not really anything that's hidden behind the login. We want to make sure everything's as accessible as possible. I believe there are some features in our website where we could have pages that are hidden behind a login screen, but we don't necessarily need those.
Okay, so it's not something that anybody has to do, but
No,
there
not
could be benefits down the road.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
All right, other comments?
Just this is an awesome show and tell and congrats. I think it's a great way and I'm excited that it's screen reader friendly.
Thank you.
All right. With that, seeing no further comments, thank you so much. Job well done. All right. Next up, business item number 1, discuss and take action to extend tax increment district number 5 for 3 months to allocate the final year of increment for affordable housing. So that's to you, Renee.
Yeah, so this has become somewhat routine. About once a year, we're kind of to the end of the life of a district. And so TID number 5 is our original downtown district. And so it has collected enough increment to pay for all of its project costs. So that gives us the opportunity to do the extension as we have done now for the past 3 TIF districts when it was available. And so in this case, it's similar to some of the other ones where we don't have to extend it for very long. Again, the Department of Revenue has very specific timelines when you can, when you need to close it by and things. So in this case, we would just need to extend it till the beginning of April. And then we would use all the tax increment from the 2025 tax year that we're collecting now in 2026. So it doesn't, and then it would go back on the tax rolls as of 1/1/2026. But we would have the benefit of getting about $700,000 that we could put into our Housing Betterment Fund. The CDA had discussed this at their October 8th meeting and had recommended approval. But happy to answer any questions, and Lauren too, if there's any specific on the CDA side of things.
All right. So with that, Jack, do you mind if I call on you? You had a question for me yesterday that I'm wondering if you could ask so that the public could understand why only 3 months. Yeah.
I guess, we've got the ability to collect for 12 months. We're asking for 3 months. I was just curious, why only the 3-month extension?
So
If you could clarify that.
yeah,
right.
so we only need the extension only needs to be done for 3 months, and then we can close out the TID. We're still getting a full year's worth of increment. But due to the timing of, when I realized we had enough money to pay off all the costs, we really could have done the extension last year for a full year, but all we need to do to get a full year's increment is extend it for the 3 months. And then we're required to close it by April 15th of 2026.
So just clarification, the funding was 9 months ago or thereabouts.
Yeah, I mean, we could
We could have closed it at that point so that we are still getting a full 12 months of increment into the CDA fund.
Yes, that is correct. And right, I usually wait until Ellers does the annual report just to confirm that there is sufficient increment, and that comes out in August. That's why we didn't do this sooner. But we will get the full year's worth of increment.
Thank you for your clarification.
Excellent. Thanks. And thanks for asking that. Yeah. Other questions or comments? No? None? All right, seeing none, then I would like to.
Can I make one
Yes.
tweak to the motion? Because I left out a word. It should be moved to approve the TID number 5 Affordable Housing Extension Resolution to allow the final year of increment to be used for affordable housing.
All right. I would like to make a motion to approve the TID number 5 Affordable Housing Extension Resolution to allow the final year of increment to be used for affordable housing.
I'll second.
Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, thank you, guys. Item number 2, discuss and take action on establishing a sustainability committee. And Lauren, to you, and then Nyla.
All right. As you all know, the Sustainable Waunakee Ad Hoc Committee was established for a 2-year period to really work on cataloging all of the sustainability efforts within the village and developing recommendations to kind of take the next step in our sustainability journey. So that occurred with the Sustainable Waunakee plan that we partnered with MSA consultants to develop, and that was approved back in November by the village board. So kind of referencing that establishing resolution for the ad hoc committee, that purpose has been completed and that group can dissolve. But there's been a discussion amongst the ad hoc committee that there's a desire to establish a standing committee that can continue this work, both in implementing the plan and also providing recommendations to the village board on sustainability related items. So in the packet, there are kind of 2 options because as has been foreshadowed in the discussion, there's kind of 2 paths that could be taken to continue on this work. One being an ordinance that would establish a standing committee. This would be like any of our other standing committees, as you can see in the ordinance, such as Police Committee, Public Works Committee, et cetera. This would be a permanent committee and would basically operate similar to our other standing committees. The other option is to basically extend the existing ad hoc committee with a new mission, which is to implement the Sustainable Waunakee plan. And both options are customizable, obviously. So for example, I kind of put the makeup of both the same, which is 3 trustees and 4 village residents. Obviously, that could change based off of your preferences and how big or small you want the group to be. And so I think hoping to get the village board's input on what direction you'd like to go. I think both options are definitely workable from a staff perspective, and just hoping to get some input from you all.
Great, thank you. And Nyla?
Okay, I feel that the committee members that are here said it much better than I can, but I'll give you a few of my thoughts. As a society, we can go backwards and lose what we've gained, or we can stagnate and lose what has been gained because we don't move forward, or we can work and learn together to build a healthy future for everyone. I feel that the work that we've done on this Sustainability Committee, we've moved ahead, and I want to continue moving forward. And a standing committee does not utilize more staff time than an ad hoc committee. A standing committee has credibility when working with groups in the community, as well as Dane County and throughout the state and other stakeholders in the village. And the village paid MSA consulting fees to find the needs of the community and drop the plan. And the plan is not a short-term plan. It has short-term goals and long-term goals, and it's going to take more than 2 years. And I just feel that becoming a standing committee will give us more room to forge the path that we need to forge to continue growing and getting things accomplished for this community. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Nyla. I'll talk about the ad hoc committee, if that's all right with everybody, before we open it up for discussion. First of all, I want to thank everyone that served on the Sustainability Committee, those of you that are here tonight and those that have served over the long time, and everyone that's spoken out in favor of this from the moment that Isaac came to us as a body and said, we really need to pay attention to this, to the high school students that rallied around it, to the community members who spoke out in favor. The ad hoc committee I did not offer this as an option to say that this is anything less than an extremely important topic that we need to have as a community. It's not meant to, deny that we've got a situation globally that we need to act on locally here. I offered this in response to a couple of conversations with staff. An ad hoc committee doesn't necessarily reduce the dependence on staff in the short term, but when we move from an ad hoc committee to a standing committee, we are committing to staffing that committee beyond that 2-year life cycle. When I asked staff about what their current needs are for staffing, we've got a couple of departments that are understaffed or we can see the need for hiring more. So rather than make a commitment that we're going to be staffing something in the community development, it would be my preference that we extend for 2 years as an ad hoc committee, give this committee the support that they need in the ad hoc sense to realize the goals of the plan that was commissioned, and then revisit the idea of making it a standing committee in 2 years. That gives us an option to, when we look at staffing increases, address staffing shortages in the finance department, address staffing shortages in HR, because we don't have a full commitment to staff another committee in community development. So that's the rationale behind offering this as an ad hoc. It's not to say that the work isn't important, because it is, but to give us a degree of flexibility in what we're going to do as our staffing needs evolve. So with that, let's open it up to the board and for questions, for thoughts, for reactions. This is very unusual to have 2 competing ideas in a packet together. I recognize that. So would anybody like to speak first, or should we go down the line?
I can see myself going green a few times in this, so I'll start. I definitely am supportive of us continuing this work either way. I have been on the ad hoc committee this past year, and it was such a treat to get to see this process. I was part of our ad hoc housing committee, and I was on Create Waunakee for a long time, which started standing, and we were never timed, my understanding, and now we dissolved that committee. So I think knowing that it was 1 year, I was excited to just be able to dive in. These are not new issues to our town or village. These are not issues, that just happen here. So I think it's important for us to look around, and we are way behind, in my opinion, to our neighbors and peers. And I know we value in this town being unique and being different, and that's great, but we are not as connected, I think, in our commitment to this as an ongoing issue. When I think back and I look where this would put this committee, literally in our code, or, these documents next to Public Works and police and committees that we attend monthly. And I think this opens up so much more of an avenue for the two-way street that's so important in these. When I think of the years I've been on Public Works or library, it's when a citizen that wants to get engaged has one place that could be their first stop, is coming to a meeting and saying, this is important to me. Whether that's, someone comes to Public Works about a stop sign or in their neighborhood, that sort of thing. So I think, focus in this is these issues are really important to me, but I want to make sure that we're kind of serving, how can we open this up to involve and invite our residents to join us on this journey with us. I think the staff time is definitely a consideration. I really appreciate your perspective on the why keeping it ad hoc. If we are going to keep it ad hoc, I think we need to be way more specific in the charge, because this isn't something that's going to be less of a need in 2 years. And I don't want us to have to make decisions that says we should staff this department or this department when we could be falling further behind having dedicated resources to this. So those are my thoughts. Maybe I won't need to come back at all, but
thank you.
I'm very happy to have spent the year, and I would be happy to answer questions too about the committee for those that weren't on.
Thank you. Other comments? Should we go down the line? Sam?
I would say, in general, I'm favorable with standing. Obviously, I think others, in terms of the financial stuff that's coming in a few years, I don't think the public necessarily completely understands that. I think the way you worded it sort of implied the community development department is doing finance and HR functions when they're not. So a little public clarification once we've gone around would be good, just
Yeah.
looking down a few years. But in general, I would say I would prefer standing. You know, we have people interested in clearly continuing to serve. I think the credibility aspect is important. I think the comment we received from Tom Wilson explains it very well. And I would also like to see for sure that the term expirations when people are serving matches when everybody else is, because currently there's a 3-week difference between that.
All right. And that had to do with our start date originally. Yeah.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So Jack?
Well, I guess when I look at, I think this is an important topic. I think this is an important topic, and I think the report that was provided to us was a very detailed report and provided some goals and objectives and so forth to follow. And I think, if you take a look at it, the current committees and so forth are really looking at this. I would be in favor of the ad hoc committee. We already voted as a board to accept the plan, going forward. And, I think if we accepted the plan, we want to execute the plan. And I think we've got committees that are already doing some of this work. And as far as the ad hoc committee, setting up, as Aaron said, or Sam, putting specific objectives into the charter of continuing the ad hoc committee would be is something that we should do. So, and I agree when you sit down and talk about staff time and so forth. There are things that we need to do. So again, I'm in favor of the ad hoc committee.
Thank you, Jack. Chris?
Thank you. First, I want to say thanks to all who came and spoke tonight that are part of that committee. Everybody did a great job in explaining your positions and supporting. Mike's comment right off the bat is kind of where I am with this. Sustainability can be a different item for every single person in this room. And I think that it's probably one of the most important things that government bodies are dealing with right now, whether it's out west right now where they don't have very much snow cover and everybody out there is worried about the water. That's going to be happening as a result of not having much snow. That's just one example, of course. There's so many different things you can look at with sustainability. The fact that we have an ad hoc committee that has done a fabulous job for us in providing us with information, the fact that MSA put it all together and did a great report for us to read and go through. It's one thing to follow, and I agree with you, Jack, that we have a roadmap on how we can follow that. But I think it's important that we have a right now already an established committee that really believes in this, and they've taken the time, put in the effort, did what they were asked, and this is something that for years to come, it's all about interpretation. And right now, somebody brought up what's happening in the country. Different things are being interpreted differently. We have people that it can be, the lights are on and people will say, no, they're not all on. And that's just what it is. So as we go through with this, I think it's great that we would have, I'm in favor of having a standing body with it for that reason, because I think they can provide clarification. There's another body that we can get information from. They can extract from people. The more people you have doing it, the more you're going to get out within our whole public. I think we've done a nice job with getting opportunity or giving opportunities for people to provide that input. But the more people you have out there getting that input, the more information we have to make the decisions as a body. And by the way, we all won't be on this board forever. There'll be others that are going to come after us. And having an ad hoc, I'm not as excited about that idea as keeping that right now. I understand the financial side of it down the road, as well as staff time. Everything we do has ripple effects in different areas. So we want to make sure. But at this point, I'm in favor of making this a standing committee.
Joe?
Got a whole pile of notes here. I want to start by apologizing for not being able to attend the sustainability meeting this month. Unfortunately, I was out of the country, so didn't really work that way. My first question, I guess, really, most of my concerns kind of revolve around expenses. And I noted in there that it says that there is no budgetary impact, but deciding to continue, although it's not necessarily a change, does have some impact to us. At the very least, I guess I would say that staff time is not inconsequential. I would love to know, I guess, a more concrete number as to really what that cost is. I don't think it's huge, but kind of to your point, it's something to consider. Regardless of which direction we were to go, and I guess I would also throw out that a third option would be neither. I don't know that the third option is a great one, but it would be a legitimate option. But regardless of which of those options we take, I envision that there's a couple of things that we need to make sure that we address in the documents we've got here. One of them would be if that committee chooses to take action A, B, or C, I would assume that that need for funding would come back to this body. I don't know if we need to clarify that in there or not, or if there's a dollar amount that we could say, basically a slush fund. Hey, yeah, go forth and do whatever, as long as it's under $1,000 or whatever.
I can clarify that it would be an advisory committee, so any action that would result in a dollar amount would have to come
Would
to the
have to come
village
back
board.
here. Okay.
Yep.
Do we have the option to grant any dollar amount? You're not really.
I'm guessing we could have a budget line for the committee that they could.
Yeah, I mean, currently no committees have any budget lines. I was gonna check and see if we did slip anything in. I think that there was a separate resolution for 2025 to spend a little bit of money for, well, certainly for the study, but then also, yeah, I think, so it did come to the board, but I don't think, right, but right now, there are no committees that have any budgets
Okay.
assigned to them.
So we would just continue with that same, that makes good sense.
Yeah, there might be a small amount of funds for the sustainability, but maybe it was for some specific things that we were planning.
Yeah, I think we
can't
had a
remember.
line that was kind of sustainability villages sustainability initiatives or something along those lines in the 26 budget.
Right, but I think it would still require village board approval to spend that.
Okay. The other thing that I would envision, it feels, I realize what the scope is here, but it feels like we're setting up a little bit of a conflict between this committee and potentially other committees. If this committee says we should, I don't know, do solar on the Public Works building, well, now we've got this committee and the Public Works Committee potentially, hopefully working together, but not necessarily. So it would be good to maybe have some rules of engagement if need be, or whatever, something where we can have a little bit more defined boundaries as to what that would be. I think that pretty much covers everything that I've got here. I would say the fifth whereas, where it talks about implementing the sustainability plan, I think that's really the key to what this is. The scope needs to be targeted specifically to be able to do that. Certainly the scope could grow otherwise, but if we're gonna have a committee, here's what your charge is. Overall, I would say I support the ad hoc version purely because of the financial portion of it. I definitely would say that there's still a lot of importance here. There's a lot of work to be done. We don't want to lose the momentum, but at the same time, we need to look out for the future of the village. And if we need to make changes, we need to save that possibility for ourselves.
Right. It's not that I'm counting votes, but we got a 3-4 vote here. Yeah, go ahead, Nyla. Yep.
I have a little bit to say here. I see a committee is working on promote health and wellness, to continue educating the public pertaining to sustainable methods needed to have and maintain a healthy community, provide information to municipal departments to guide the work it is involved in, and to Joel's, comment, work with them, not have a hammer hitting them over the head with it. Provide information from a committee focused on the subject. Example, we did a no mow May. It was not good. If we would have had a committee and had their input, perhaps we could have avoided the no mow May situation. Ordinance review. The village is working on reviewing ordinances, a standing committee providing input on things such as solid waste recycling, natural lawns, and plants allowed such as milkweed will be in future discussions. When sustainability is compartmentalized in other departments, the subject is lost due to the load the staff carries. And it's been pointed out, but standing committees do not make decisions without the approval of the board. I don't know of a single standing committee where that has ever happened. And my question is, when we have hired staff in the last 3 years, I can't even begin to count the number of staff that we've hired. So when would we have the staff to be able to do this in an easier way or in a more affordable way? The village is growing, and we've always found a way to meet the needs as the village grew. And yes, we're going to have some growing pains, but that's what it takes to keep things going and to keep moving ahead. Thanks.
I think you're getting your committee because I'm counting the votes here. So the question then would be,
Can I?
for the resolution, if we've talked a little bit about the scope, if we pass the resolution tonight as is, what leeway do we have for kind of defining the scope or
So
membership?
the ordinance is really simple. It's simply adding sustainability committee to the list of standing committees. We included whereas clauses to provide more context and kind of help define the scope. It's not going to be in the municipal code.
Okay.
So I guess that to say, I think the scope could be amended over time or even defined by the village board at a future date if you wanted to pass the ordinance today, or I'm happy to amend this ordinance and bring it back to a future meeting.
I would prefer to bring it back to a future meeting, have a discussion on, what the charge is, what are the ground rules?
My question is then, can we have another meeting? Can we have the February and March meeting? I mean,
We can't we? Have we expired altogether?
March 31st.
March
That was
31st.
why I
Okay.
suggested
Yeah.
3-week possible
Okay.
extension in case they wanted an April meeting. And so the committee appointments would be at the same time as all of the others.
We have gained momentum. We're on a roll, and I don't want to not have meetings because that's when you lose your participation.
Agreed there. Yeah, Aaron.
This is more on the finance side of things, and I'll be the first to say that I'm not very financially motivated as a, that sounds terrible, but do you know what I mean? Like, I'll never make any money is what I'm saying. Just accepted that early on, I guess. There are a lot of things that we do spend money on that, in my opinion, I think fall under the realm of sustainability. And we've talked about how there's so many definitions, but we just spent $20,000 in our consent agenda on to Madison Metro for Yahara Winds or the adaptive management plan. That's a huge sustainability initiative. Like, we are doing things. I think if we can even, like, we have so much that this committee could be doing that I think if we did have like a rundown of the numbers, this committee is not going to come in and be like, we need hundreds of thousands of dollars. It's more like, how can we promote these amazing things we're already doing and connect the next pieces of the puzzle? So I don't know, just my take, but.
And I would also say a great idea, which was spurred on by this discussion, is I know there's a little sheet that exists in a filing cabinet in this building. That's sort of our 5-year kind of anticipated staffing plan, what we're looking at. I think it would be great to bring it to this board and have Renee talk about, because I know you've talked about levy limits and things coming. I think it would be a great thing for this board to discuss at a future meeting.
Yeah. I guess my biggest is just, I think we're sending mixed messages to our residents and citizens when we're like not taking it as, you know, seriously as our other initiatives when it's not going away. And I don't know. So.
Oh, I mean, I think if
But I
we
know,
vote
yeah,
tonight,
I know.
it's becoming a standing committee. I think we're just talking about the
Yeah.
circumstances under which the charges. So what do we want to do? Jack's made the suggestion that we refine the charge and talk about this at a future meeting. I think, Nyla, I'm going to guess that you would prefer it passed tonight.
Yes, I would like it passed tonight so that we know as a group where we're going to be. And there isn't any question about that. You know, to have a group who's meeting, who doesn't even know what's ahead for the next meeting, it gets kind of tough. I already have a couple projects and, you know, that we're looking at, and I just want to be able to continue the flow.
All right. So if we entertain a motion tonight to pass this tonight, we can come back and kind of refine the scope.
Yeah, and to clarify, the whereas clause states to work on the implementation of the Sustainable Waunakee Plan and provide recommendations to the village board on sustainability-related policies and initiatives. So if there are additional things that you want in the scope, we can definitely bring that back. Yeah.
Okay, down the road. All right. So with that, I think.
Can I ask one question?
Yes.
Sorry. Would the members from the ad hoc automatically become the members, or how does that transition work? Because to Nyla's point about the meetings.
And that was why I had suggested almost the slight extension so it meshes, so there isn't a possible gap between when the appointments are made.
All right. So it would go into effect then with the new committees and remain an ad hoc committee until that point in time.
Yeah, I think that would be,
Yeah, that seems.
I think that would be the
Is that
least
reasonable?
administrative burden.
And then the same thing as any other committee, you're not sure if you're appointed until it comes time, which seems fair. Like,
All right. This is the exciting part of local government, right?
it all is. It all is.
Why you're here.
Yeah.
This is why I don't need money.
Well,
Chris, did you have something you were going to share?
I don't think I heard anybody here say that we shouldn't have some form of committee for this.
No.
I think that was pretty unanimous. If I'm wrong, tell me, but so I don't think there's a wrong answer with this. I think we just want to get it right with how we set this up. So as I said, I'm in favor of a standing committee, but I don't think we would be wrong necessarily if we had an ad hoc to start with.
Okay. All right.
And I don't think that's sending a bad message to everyone.
I'm lost what you're
Yeah.
saying.
no, I get what he's saying.
Yeah.
You're saying ad hoc for the rest of the.
I don't think either way. I'm for a standing committee. But if we were to decide tonight that we were going to have an ad hoc committee for 3 months more or 2 years more, it's a good thing because we're actually moving forward.
Yeah.
It's not like we're stopping anything. I think that's sending a message that we just want to make sure we have it right. The finances part of it, hearing that come back to us is a good thing. And even if we go to a standing committee, I think it's worth the money we potentially are going to be spending because it's in all different areas that are going to be beneficial to all, not just any singular group. That's the thing about sustainability.
And Jack had something? Yeah.
No, I think I think you're absolutely right. I think, you're talking about setting up a committee. You're basically, this is the first time we've seen it. And, to your point, I think we want to set it up right and have the framework established, because if you do it after the fact, it's a lot harder to do.
Joe, did you have something?
No.
No, okay. Nyla?
I move to create the ad hoc committee effective when the new appointments are made in April.
Be April 21 of 2026.
Standing
Carol.
committee. You said ad-
Standing, or I said ad hoc,
Well-
I meant standing, I'm sorry.
No.
Was a bit
that's-
surprised there, but.
Okay, no, I want it to be a standing committee beginning in April
Yeah.
when the assignments are made.
April 21
now.
of
And I'll
2026.
second it.
All right, we have
That when
a,
committees are April? No, committees.
That's
I
when the
think-
terms
Yeah,
expire.
they,
Yeah.
So
yeah.
it's
Okay.
matching it so it's the
So
same.
that would create the committee start date of a standing committee is what you're saying it on the
Yeah, yeah,
21st.
basically, yeah.
Great.
But all,
But they would, so anybody that would be interested on being on this standing committee should apply the same as every other committee through the process, which we could set up ahead of time and have it be in the same cycle.
Right.
Yep, that's exactly
our
what we were
goal.
thinking.
Okay.
and applications are open all the time, so apply today.
But
Won't
there
be a
won't
button yet for sustainability, so don't do it yet.
Thank you.
Email is not phishing.
Don't do it yet.
All right. So we have a motion and a second on the floor. Do we have discussion on the motion? All right. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Nay.
Hey.
Motion carries. All
And-
right.
And again, I want to clarify, I'm not against sustainability. I think it's a challenge when you start putting something into policy that you don't have good, clear direction on. And that is why I'm voting nay on this. So that's my point.
Agreed. Thank you.
All right. And y'all heard my reasons, but I know you're going to do great work. So congratulations.
And I'd just say we do have between now and April that we can talk about this more.
Yeah.
And I think we should.
And we should,
All right.
yes.
Absolutely.
All right. So good work, good discussion, good decision. All right. And next up on the agenda then, item number 3, discuss and take action on request for interim funding support for the Waunakee Community Cares Coalition. And I believe this is to you first, Lauren, and nope, wait. Oh, this is to Todd.
Hey there, everyone.
Hello, Todd.
From balmy Denver, which hit 55 degrees today.
Oh, we're so jealous.
A month or so ago, staff rep from the Waunakee Community Cares Coalition, Tim Decor, reached out to me, informing me / the village of some funding challenges as a result of changes in the way the grants are being administered that fund the Waunakee Community Cares Coalition initiative. And the thought is that this is sort of an anomaly situation, but there's a number of unknowns and certainly a circumstance where the coalition is has made a request to both the village and the school district to consider a kind of an interim funding partnership, so to speak. So I'm going to allow the Community Cares Coalition representatives there to explain this further for the board and answer any questions. My understanding is, and they can clarify, that there isn't necessarily an action expected of you as a board here tonight, rather to hear more about the situation, ask questions for clarification on your end. And I'm saying that because I believe the school board made some decision or determination at their meeting last week that may have a bearing on this current month. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, though, and I'd ask the reps from the coalition to also address what the school district did. I will share that I sent the village board a link to the school district's meeting just later today, so maybe some of you didn't have a chance to see it, so it might be worth the coalition representatives to explain what in fact the school board did do. So with that, happy to turn it over to their representatives.
All right, thank you. And you guys, if you'd like to, can take the podium. Thanks for being here, Tim.
Actually, updated documents.
Thanks. Thanks, Tim.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Good evening, members of the Waunakee Village Board. Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you tonight. My name is Tim Decora, and I serve as the project coordinator for the Waunakee Community Cares Coalition. Before I start reading here from this document, ever-changing document because of some things going on at Capitol Hill, I was a school district employee for 29 years. And of those 29 years, I lived in the village for 27. I since moved a couple of years before I retired to Madison, but this is where my heart lies. And thanks to my executive chairperson, Mr. Brian Kirsten, he whispered in my ear May before I retired in June of 2024. He said, "I think we have a job for you, coach." And it allowed me to come back here to work in the village and the school district that I dearly love. So I'm pouring my heart into this stuff. I don't know much about asking for money. I'm not good at that. Never had it. The school district always provided for everything we needed in my curriculum area. So forever grateful. So if I sound a little bit off doing this, it's not in my wheelhouse. Ask me to shoot a jumper, throw a football. I can do all of that stuff. But so needless to say, here it goes. Since 2014, the Waunakee Community Cares Coalition has brought together partners with the 12 sectors of the community, and the 12 sectors was created by the Drug-Free Communities Act of 1998, which is underneath the CDC, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. And as you can see, I'm not going to read all of those, but those are the 12 sectors, and you'll find that you would fall under the state and local government agencies. 12 sectors of our community to create conditions and opportunities that prevent and reduce substance use while supporting mental health and wellness. Our vision is that Waunakee is healthy and resilient. Our mission is creating conditions and opportunities that prevent and reduce substance use, and our values center on engagement, education, collaboration, and resilience in our community and amongst its members. Since 2020, much of this work has been supported through the Federal Drug-Free Communities, or DFC, grant. That funding has allowed the coalition to provide staffing and coordination necessary to support prevention and awareness efforts that directly benefit students, families, and the broader Waunakee community. These efforts include student leadership programming, project graduation, alcohol compliance checks, environmental scans at local businesses, drug take-back events, keynote speakers tied to school events, and data analysis through the Dane County Youth Assessment that helps guide prevention efforts within grades 7 through 12. There's a bunch of examples of what we do, what the coalition is involved in. There's a couple of items that I do want to bring to your attention. I'm not going to read all of these, but the drug take-back days in April and October that take place every year since probably close to 2020 for sure. Approximately 4,000 since 2000. That's what the coalition has provided for the community in one way, shape, or form. Provide security for St. John's Festival, Wanna Boom, Wanna Fest, and Walktoberfest. About $2,000 per event, totaling $8,000 approximately. And then over the last 5 years, $40,000 to provide security so that our officers can roam about. Typically that
that security is provided by CSC, which if you ever been to a Badger basketball or football game, CSC provides that, that as well as, Brian, what's the name of the other group? Alliance? Yeah, Alliance as well. And then the ID driver's license scanners that are used at all of those events to scan IDs as people walk in is about $2,800 since 2000. We recently have a billboard campaign going on, and when you drive in from, I think it's the west side of the village, there's a sign out there featuring our refrigerator locks, where a lot of the students are saying by data that where they're getting their alcohol from. It's either their own home or their friends' homes. And that billboard campaign since 2020, we've paid for that at $20,000, roughly about $4,000 per year. And then distribution of locks, lock boxes for medication, providing Narcan for the community, deactivation kits. Some people ask, what is that? It's called Deterra. You can pour your unused or expired medications, drop it in, drop some water and shake it up, and it's eco-friendly, so you can drop it in the trash when you're done. Essentially deactivating those particular things. So there's a bunch there. I'm not going to read them all. One notable data point is the significant decline in student alcohol exposure. According to the Dane County Youth Assessment, which is known better by its acronym DCYA, a survey completed by essentially the Waunakee 7th through 12th graders, is done every 3 years measuring student health, behaviors, and well-being. It went from 14.6% of the students in 2018 reporting having more than a few sips of alcohol in the previous 12 months. By 2024, the last DCYA, that figure had increased or decreased to 7%, so about half. This reduction suggests that the prevention efforts by the Waunakee Community Cares Coalition are contributing to meaningful, positive outcomes. This would also coincide with the DFC grant that the WCCC, or the coalition, was awarded in 2020. A similar trend is evident in nicotine and tobacco, and the reason I bring those two substances up are those, the DFC and the CDC has us focus on two substances, and the one that we chose to work on are nicotine and alcohol. So a similar trend is evident in nicotine and tobacco use. In 2018, DCYA, 74.3% of students reported never using nicotine or tobacco products through vaping or e-cigarettes devices. In 2024, that percentage increased to 86.5%, reflecting continued progress in reducing use of these substances. As a result of this work, the school district and the village of Waunakee have avoided thousands of dollars in direct prevention-related costs while benefiting from data-informed programming and community-wide support. The decline in student alcohol use since 2018 is one indicator that this coordinated approach is making a difference. At this time, the coalition is experiencing a temporary funding gap, similar to many Year 1 and Year 6 coalitions nationwide, following the federal government's cancellation of the 2025 DFC grant funding. Although the coalition was awarded Year 6 funding, confirmed through our participation in a pre-award meeting with the Drug-Free Communities Program and the Office of Grant Services within the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, the associated funds were not released. Matter of fact, they were canceled in November. We will reapply for our next 5-year DFC grant, and annually that grant has brought to the community $125,000 per year. So it's not $2,000 or $3,000; it's $125,000 each year, provided we show proof that we have been doing the work. And we have not had that grant denied in the last 5 years. And we anticipate access to those funds beginning July 1st, 2026. Until then, we are respectfully requesting short-term financial support from the Village of Waunakee, as well as the school district, Waunakee Community School District, based on financial options previously shared for the period of February 1st through June 30th, 2026. This support would allow the coalition to maintain essential staffing and continue core prevention activities without interruption. Since receiving the year 1 through 5 DFC grant in 2020, the coalition has demonstrated fiscal responsibility by actively securing additional funding sources across the state and maintaining reserve funds that support the continued achievement of our goals. We are not asking for a permanent commitment, but rather consideration of interim support and the opportunity for follow-up discussion with district administration and the village board and appropriate committee members. Our hope is that the strong partnership between the Village of Waunakee and the coalition, one that has existed for more than a decade, will continue during this transitional period. Thank you for your time, your partnership, and your continued commitment to the health and well-being of Waunakee's students, families, and communities. Sincerely, Tim DeCora.
Thank you. Thanks very much for the work that you're doing and for coming to us tonight. Question before we open it up to the board. I'm in the same situation at work. I get a lot of federal grants for work, and they were awarded and not funded, which has made for an interesting year. We'll put it that way. Is the notice of funding opportunity or the application for the 2026, have they issued that?
They did. They issued that, I want to say in late December.
Okay.
And then we have until February 12th of 2026 to get our ducks in order. We do have a grant writer and a group of people that are now looking at the grant. As you probably know, the Trump administration wants to cleanse any grants of things like DEI, pronouns, he, she, they, and I get it. So as our epidemiologist said, we just have to play ball. So whatever, as long as we know the rules, that's great. But unfortunately for, I think, this administration, the rules change, the timelines change. Federal funding for almost all drug and alcohol and prevention was canceled last week, Tuesday night. And then something happened where, 12 hours, they were reinstated. That was reversed.
Yeah.
Thankfully. So that allowed us to breathe a little easier. But right now, we just don't know what's around the next corner, unfortunately. I think somebody had asked, or Todd mentioned, what is the school district doing right now? They decided to provide us with a 1-month payment of our essential costs. And then they're going to take a look in February with their budget committee to see how much more funding we can provide, or they can provide, potentially looking at how much the village can provide. And then, like I said, we do have reserve funding from other grants that we've gotten, other resources in reserve. So we're just asking for providing some information, which, again, this is all new. It could be different next week, but for the village to take a look at what we're asking or what we're proposing, and then have you decide based upon what your budget committee would think.
Great. And that is when Todd and I were talking with you guys, that was one of the things that we asked to present tonight, and then decided a future meeting so that we could understand kind of where we are financially and how we're able to help. So
yeah, the reason that we took a look at the district and the village is that the village and the district are probably our two biggest partners.
Yeah.
Which is listed in some of the things that we do. You're also probably the the most lucrative groups that the sector members that we have. But again, like I mentioned in here, it's nothing permanent. Well, I've heard the word sustainability used tonight. This is probably a discussion that'll come up in year 8, 9, and 10, where we have to do the 100% sustainability. But as I mentioned with a couple of folks last week, that because of the way governments are, I think we're going to toss this out and the sustainability out to the community first and get backing from the community, and then maybe take a look at some of our other bigger partners in the end to maybe help out in the end. And really with the way government is going, and if this is going to be the way it is in 5 years, I don't know if I can ask government because I don't know if they'll have funding for us. So we're going to work with our other sector members to try to accomplish what we need to get accomplished.
Okay. All right, so with that, do you mind if I open it up to the board? Who's got questions? Nyla?
Have you contacted the other municipalities that are part of the school district to ask for support?
We have not. We were just taking a look at, again, what we can get for some funding from our 2 big sector members. And then, yeah, it's kind of the dominoes will fall if we have a gap in funding, bigger, larger, smaller, whatever, then we have a campaign to go to our sector members and those folks that are in our group. Yeah. Thanks.
All right, others? No. Jack?
I guess, the question that I've got is, one, you're applying for the next grant, which theoretically, if you've done everything right the first 5 years, you're probably in good shape of getting the next 5 years. But in my experience with some of these federal grants, what they do is give you seed money to set the organization up and get momentum with the expectation that it's going to be self-sustaining. What are those plans, going forward? Let's say you don't get the grant and you get some funding from the school district, from us. What is the plan to be sustainable, going forward? That would be a question of mine.
Well, there's one thing that I've learned in the mental health field is that even though you do have to make plans, I have to kind of stay where my shoes are right now. And right now, I mean, we do have plans, but it's based off of what happens probably really in the next couple of weeks with the school district and their budget committee, and certainly your group. And when you take a look at what funding that you have available to all of the other entities that are asking for funding, we will then adjust. I mean, unfortunately, we're in a situation right now where, like I said, we get handed a set of rules one day and then they change the next day. So we're having to kind of stay fluid, but really it's going to come back down to then asking the 12 sector members and our list of 100 members that we have within those 12 sectors. But yeah, no, that's a great question because it's something that we definitely do have to look at, but it's ever changing.
Yeah, I understand you have to stay in your shoes, but with an organization like this, as you continue to grow, you got to kind of look at where are those alternative, because things change. Federal government is changes, village funding might change, school district. There's a lot of challenges out there, and you guys are doing some great work. As you go forward.
The one thing that the grant allows us is an opportunity to start taking a look at 25% sustainability, 50, 75, and then eventually 100. So with the grant, we would have to start taking a look at those goals and missions and plans starting as early as year 5, year 6, and definitely year 7, 8, 9, which allows us to take a look at what we have in the community and what we have with our sector members.
And again, thank you very much for the audience tonight. Reintroduce myself. Brian Kirsten, used to be principal at the high school for a number of years, and currently, as Tim alluded to a little bit, I'm serving as the executive chair, or the chair, I should say, of the executive committee of the coalition. And this is work, after working with kids for 34 years and working specifically with youth in this community for 26 years as principal of the high school, it just seemed like kind of a natural transition while I was still in the position at high school principal, and then after my retirement in 2019. Jack, to your question, you may remember when you were back with school board, there was a lot of work that we were trying to do with a focus on, substance abuse, mental health. The issue that we were running into prior to being fortunate enough to receive the DFC grant initially back in 20 was all trying to be doing the work through volunteer efforts. And we did not have an individual before Tim stepped into the project coordinator position. Some of you may know Michelle McGrath, who lives in the community, was a former administrator years ago here, associate principal at the high school, and then was the head of the State Student Council Association. She's currently serving as the superintendent of Wisconsin Heights, but Michelle stepped down from her position to take the superintendency position. Again, we were fortunate to receive that grant because once we received that grant, now we could put a structure in place with an executive board. We could actually have people that were being compensated for their time, and we started to gather a lot of momentum at that point in time. Not to get too far off the rails here, but some community structures with their coalitions, they're tied to the village. And in our case, we're tied to the school district, which is the fiscal agent for the work that we're doing. So our funding right now goes through Steve Summers 5 years ago was wonderful, provided the business manager, provided support. Kurt Ely, when he was still working in the district too, saw the value of that partnership, I think, being extended. To your question too, Jack, I think I'm just going to be what it would be. We thought we were going to receive the grant, like a lot of individuals working in, because frankly, our coalition has got a strong nexus to public health. And for whatever reason right now, public health is seeing some challenges, right, to put it mildly. So we thought we were going to receive that grant. We had notification, like Tim said, we were going to get the grant. Then we didn't receive the grant. We had allocated some additional funding, significant funding for a grant writer to help us again through this process. We're doing that again right now. So in essence, we had the grant writer help us write that initial grant, sent the grant in, the grant, we have to reapply, right? So now we've got to reallocate those funds that we do have still remaining in our budget to reapply again. And we're hopeful that we'll receive it. If we don't, be perfectly honest, if the coalition is going to be successful going forward, it'd have to be on a voluntary basis again. And frankly, from my experience with the challenges for probably 4 years, at least 5 years, maybe leading up to having this receive the DFC grant in 20, there's work that gets done, but nowhere near the volume of work. And I think having the capacity and the momentum that have been gained since we were able to receive that grant. So I don't know if the coalition will be sustainable, to be honest, but that's the life of a lot of individuals or a lot of organizations that are kind of working in mental health, substance abuse right now too.
Yeah. And that's not at all unusual to have received the grant, have the money pulled. We've had one that we've had to reapply for. It's this up and down situation that's made for interesting times. It is, yeah. Building skills that we didn't think we were building. Sam?
I don't have any specific questions. Just as always, thank you for your work, and we will see what we can do for you.
All right, Erin?
Just a little starstruck because you both were very instrumental educators. But I think that also speaks to the seeds you've planted with this group are in the midst of blooming, and who knows what they will be past the 10 years of this grant. But I think the work you do is really important to our community, and you are like community caretakers for so many, obviously in the name of the group. So I don't know exactly what we can do yet, but I hope we can continue to be partners, and I'm bummed alongside of you that this hiccup is affecting your day to day, because I think the behind the scenes of the events you guys are putting on and the resources, it's good to know that those are there. And
To clarify a little bit too, the school district had, where they're looking at hopefully being able to pull some flexibility is, not to get into the weeds too much, but they have a Fund 80, which is community education monies basically. And they're seeing a bit of a nexus right now, at least for this month, you know, to extend for a month, and we'll see where things are at. Maybe the landscape will change. They're able to, you know, help us through another month, great. If not, we'll look and see what else we can do in terms of writing some additional smaller grants. The issue with some of the smaller grants that we've received is that those can be very specific to opioid use or, you know, whatever it might be. And so we have to prove that we've done the work associated with those smaller grants before we're able to use any leftover funds that we might receive towards keeping the coalition work solvent too.
Okay, thanks for that clarification. Chris?
I don't know if I'm starstruck, but
Probably not.
I'll be signing autographs when we're out in the lobby here.
So
Are you guys on NIL or?
They're gonna be funding source.
Source, Jack?
That's a good idea.
Yes.
well, that threw me off. No, so can you share a little bit, what is your overall budget annually?
The overall budget is 125,000 that we get provided. We provide amounts of, you know, the data and how many events we have, and it ends up being about 60%, I want to say a little over 60% salary and benefits, and then the rest falls under the other 40% would be the essential costs.
So I guess where I'm going, so is the DFC grant basically all the funding that you get, or do you get it from anywhere else?
We do get it from, I mean, yes, that's our main source, but then we have AWI,
Smaller grants.
some smaller grants. Yeah, those of you that remember Jody Sorensen, she's above me in the coalition and the grant funding. She provides some of the funding for some of the grants, the smaller grants that we have.
Is there?
It's AW, so it's Alliance for Wisconsin Youth, it's the state opioid response. So there's a variety of kind of micro grants or funding opportunities out there that we can write for, and we have pretty consistently and pretty aggressively, just so we can continue to try and increase the funds that we have available.
You're not prohibited from getting private sector funds, I'm assuming?
Not to my knowledge.
Not to my, yeah. not to
Within
my
the
knowledge.
grant program is what I'm getting at. So you've got your grant programs, and those grant programs don't prohibit you from getting outside funding from private sector.
Right, we're certainly considered, it'd be a nonprofit situation because again, it's very interesting again within the funding framework that the school is our funding agent, but we're not necessarily affiliated with the school, if that makes sense. We needed to have a government body that, you know, we can have accountability for the budget for. So within our structure, though, Lisa Jondal, who's the student services person right now at the district, works closely with us as well. So there is a review basically through the district in terms of Tim's job performance that I do jointly with her. And so there is that governance or oversight, not only of the work that we're doing, but also of the funding, because of the role the district plays. So, and the school district is obviously nonprofit. So it's a good question. My sense would be no, there isn't anything that would preclude us from that though.
So he mentioned an 80 fund that the school district has. We also have what's called a 21 fund, where we have any of the grants that come in that are not DFC related will go into this 21 fund, which will have access to mental health, state opioid response money, coalition development dollars, and anything that we need, lock boxes, lock bags, Narcan, we can turn in receipts, and then we get that money essentially reimbursed. And if we can get help, let's say from the public library, when we have a speaker that comes in to talk about
In April.
their life in recovery. We can put in for $1,000. And if the public library decides to pick some of that up, we then can pull 500 out of there. The library can pay for part of it. And then we have now that extra $500 that we can use and move around in different places like mental health, state opioid response things. So we have that ability to be able to move. I think you guys mentioned lines. We have lines that we can use to move some of our funds around where we need to. Right now, we're having to do some considering salary and benefits to keep our staff in place.
The negative impact of that, though, however, is then we do not have as much funding available to distribute lock bags, lock boxes, Narcan, those types of things, because we'd be shifting the funds that we would usually use for purchasing those resources to, try to bring to the community to try to at least keep staffing funded through till we know what's going to happen with the grant.
So I just have two other things, if that okay?
Yeah, yeah.
Why would somebody not want to donate to this? What would somebody say? Oh, this is just not an organization we need to support. Is there a reason?
There's probably, the state of Wisconsin is the plum red color that has a huge issue with alcohol consumption. So I'm sure there's probably a lot of people that, why do we need that? We don't have a problem here. I'm sure there's probably people out there, but I wish this was something that I had when I grew up. Somebody talking to us about alcohol and its effects and nicotine and all of these other things. We didn't have this.
I think, Chris, the only response I have there, and I don't want this to be sounding political at all, I have that same question rolling through my head as it relates to many things right now that are being not funded for mental health, substance abuse. I mean, that we've seen kind of go away here in the last, in not too distant past. I mean, that's been there. So I would think like, are there individuals that would not want it funded? Probably, and they would have their reasons, probably very valid in their minds for doing so. But I would hope that there would be support for, for the work that's being done.
So I think this is a topic that absolutely you can get support. How much we're going to be able to do, that's what we have to figure out. But I would tell you, my wife is notorious for telling me if there's a will, there's a way. And when I first joined the board almost 20 years ago, John Lobmeyer, I went to John and I said, John, I think we should have a smoking ban. And he said, great. So he set me up with a great committee. I got to be with all the bar owners and everybody that we were able to go about that and do it. And that whole group unanimously voted to ban smoking in their establishments. And I think almost 100% of them to this day would say that was a great thing for their business. So there's different things and different ways to attack this. And that's why I'm asking the questions I am, because we talked about sustainability earlier tonight. And for this group to be sustained, it's going to be more than just relying on grants and getting the folks out there that are behind your cause. Some of them happen to have a lot of money that'll be on your side. And since I am in banking, I can say, if somebody's got $1 million and they throw it in a CD for you and say you can have the CD results, you'll get to your 125,000 real quick by having a couple with you. And there's plenty of those people out there. It's just having them on your side. And I'm just giving one example, but your business community is also going to be supportive. Even who I'm talking about with the bars and the restaurants and everybody else, they're going to be supportive of this too. And putting their name on it does not give them a negative connotation. And that's why I asked that question. It's a positive connotation that they'd have for it. So just my opinion. And we can consider, what we can maybe do, just like the school district is community. It's put us in a little bit of a weird spot, in my opinion, because you've got the school district and the village board, and we want to maintain and have a good working relationship with them. So it's not like one of us wants to one up the other or do anything like that, or we want us to be supportive of one another. So I think that's important, that they took a small step, I think, in what you guys were looking at.
And that's the last, that's not our intent at all, obviously, to not play one against the other or anything that way at all, because it may be that they can help a little bit for a month and you may or may not be able to do that. But then if it's not funding support, then it could be, again, getting the word out, like, you know, through your networks too, that, you know, this was a presentation that came to the village board, and maybe helping us network with individuals that also express an interest to you, if you're willing to have those conversations again through your networks as well. Because that might be where some solutions lie for us.
That I can commit to, but I can't commit for what these guys are gonna wanna do.
And Chris makes an excellent point. You make an excellent point there, because at the end of the year, somebody actually asked me, which I put in a newsletter, which some of you got, they said, give me a list of all of the nonprofit organizations in the village that I can give money to. I was not only amazed at the number that I knew that I hadn't actually heard of, but also for many of them, simply how hard it was to actually give online to make it easy for people, or people who said, you know, I give my money through United Way. I don't see any Waunakee organizations on there. We have a lot of money in this community, but we also have a lot of money when it comes to charitable giving that leaves, that could be spent here.
Joe?
I'll start by saying the autograph thing is great, but I would really prefer that there's a merch table later. Really, the only question I've got is, when we start looking at what sort of an amount we can deal with here, if we get to a point where we can say we can help for 1 month, does that have a dramatically different effect than if we say we can fund some portion over a longer period of time?
I think, and I'll let Tim respond to that too, because I hear his wheels grinding. In my mind, I think, Joe, the short term, anything we can do in the short term to get us closer to having some clarity, which we're hopeful to have here as we get to May and June, would be great. But I think, again, it would be whatever may fall within where, as a village, you may choose that, you know, you may have flexibility, and if you can do that financially, that's great. So the school district initially was, I think, looking at something a little bit longer term, and still maybe, and that's okay. But they felt, again, let's kind of do the month and then perhaps another month, because we may continue to get additional information in. That'll change the whole nature of the discussion. And, you know, that's whatever works, I guess, for, you know, whatever entity, and, you know, from the school or the village. And again, it may not work financially at all, but that's okay. We just appreciate having the audience and the opportunity to let you know what's going on.
Perfect.
And I think I mentioned in the prepared statement that because of the fiscal responsibility and some of the grants outside the DFC that have been applied through or for the coalition, we do have some reserve funds that we can access, but we don't want to access those yet until we have all of our cards in our hand. And yeah, that, you know, that may go until, you know, March, but kind of the hard lines that we know are, we hopefully will get the award letter on June 1st. And then once we get that award letter that we've been granted the 5-year DFC grant, the funding will start in July 1st. And that's going to be, that hopefully will be good news to the Waunakee people and the fest, because right now those I've had meetings with all 4 of the major fests: Oktoberfest, Waunafest, Wauna and St. John's Fest. And fortunately they have reserve funds. I just said we can't commit to funding this year until possibly July 1st, which would help then 3 of those 4.
Appreciate it.
Nyla has a question.
Yeah. In the event there's a residents who would like to write a check, is the group in the position to be able to process those checks? And are you considered technically a nonprofit, or exactly what are you?
I don't think we are, because we have a fiscal agent. There's another term, and maybe Chris, do you know what that? I should know what that is, but it's like all of these acronyms.
So then how would the checks be routed? You put Community Cares Coalition?
It would probably go into our 21 fund.
Okay. I'm just trying to figure this out. If someone's watching this, what do they do?
Yeah, they could, I think they could, if they're so inclined, could write a check, contact Tim, write a check to the Community Cares Coalition. At that point, that check would get routed into, through our fiscal agent, through the district, and go into those district funds so that they can be audited and, appropriately monitored as well.
Yeah, thank you.
So quick question to that. So the Student Financial Assistance Fund, for example, is through the school. Is this the same concept?
I would say no, from the standpoint of the Student Financial Assistance Fund has been, it's the same conceptually, I think, Chris, in that people in the community can contribute to that fund. The funds that are contributed to the Student Assistance Fund would be helping students with field trip funds.
I'm talking
But at least in
about the
terms of structure, yeah, except we don't have, on the district website, if I'm not mistaken, haven't been there for a while. There's an actual link to do the contributions there. We don't have that type of, we're not that forward in terms of our, if you pull up the district website, you're not going to see a link to the Community Cares Coalition on there.
Is there a reason you can't?
Probably just have to check.
Probably just have to run that and run that by our fiscal agent and then find out how we set that up and where it goes directly to, and let the powers that be. I mean, the word I heard was anomaly. This is all new to us. I mean, if Michelle McGrath were still here, she'd be kind of in the same position I'm in right now, trying to figure out what to do, where to go. So, yeah.
But on the website, there's a page with all the different clubs on there that you can donate to. And I think if you would probably talk to your fiscal agent, you could probably get your organization on there so that if somebody wanted to do a credit card or send a check or transfer money somehow, they could do it through there.
And the other thing, and those are great suggestions. Appreciate those. And the thing that we have tried to do and will continue to try and do, we do have our own website. We do have a newsletter that goes out. So again, that I'm not structurally, I would be, it would still have to swing back to our fiscal agent. So what I'm saying there is that, it might be that something that we can, at least we can get that set up with the fiscal agent. We could get that information on our information that goes out in terms of if you're interested in, go
like here.
It's a two-step process, which is just not quite as efficient.
Yeah. So I think this has all been great discussion, and it helps us understand how you're funded and how, the school district is your eligible entity. You're the organization that on the grant is entitled to spend the grant dollars. But I do want to bring it back, just keeping mindful of the time, to the request that's before us. So that, and again, the information's been fantastic and the discussion has been really great. So when we're looking at this, the school district has committed to 1 month of funding and then they're going to revisit it. Renee, not that we're ready to act tonight because we decided to piece this out into two separate meetings. If we were to help funding like 1 month and then come back and contemplate as the school district did, or another fund, where would the dollars come from within our budget?
So as Todd put in his memo, we don't really have a funding source other than our unassigned fund balance. One slight disadvantage we have to the timing of all of this is, I'm not really through all the year end to know where we're sitting with our fund balance, to know, do we have more available? Are we tighter through the end of 25? Just because of the timing of how we calculate those amounts. But that would be the funding source.
Under a normal time frame, when would we know how much money we would have in that?
Well, at the start of the audit is like the second week of March. So by then I have to have everything done and figured out. So realistically, I can't start working on that stuff until February. I mean, we have, we know historically where we've landed, which has always been above our policy. So, I mean, I'm not thinking that it was that tough of a year that we wouldn't be, you know, have a cushion like we normally do.
Okay.
But we've already committed some of that to other things in the 26 budget. So it's a little tricky with the timing of this to know exactly how much might be available.
I guess.
And the question then is from Chris is how much, what is 1 month? So what did the school district?
Kristen, I
Yeah, a
think-
little over,
Yeah.
little over 7,000.
A little over 7,000, okay. Yeah.
I think if we do this, instead of saying 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, we just look at what is the dollar amount that that we can designate
Yeah.
or provide these people, and then let them figure out, you know, do they want to cut staff, increase programming, you know, don't put those restrictions
Yeah.
on them. So I would, instead of going 1 month, 2 months, it's what's the dollar amount that we,
Yeah, I would
feel
agree.
comfortable giving them.
I would agree. And so our charge for next meeting might be to figure out what we might be comfortable allocating if, you know, before we have the year-end balances in. That's the, that's the challenge.
Right,
Yeah.
that's the challenge.
Yeah.
You know, I guess it's
Yeah.
up to the board because the
Yeah.
board can go below our threshold.
Okay.
You know, we have between 20 and 25% that we set aside. So, you know, I don't know exactly what criteria you would use because, you know, there will be funding there.
Yeah.
Or there will be unassigned fund balance available. It's to what extent you want to tap into that for this particular cause.
So I think if I'm reading the room right, I think there's consensus that we want to help, and it's just going to be a matter of us being able to figure out how many dollars we're able to help. And that's probably a conversation over the next couple of weeks then, and bringing it back to the next board meeting. That's okay. Yeah.
And there is, I think Tim did share, if you flip back far enough in that document that he shared, there's basically broken out there.
Yeah.
Some actual dollar figures.
And I also want to let you know that was a ex-FIAD teacher filling out a budget. So I did as good as
Great
best as I
job.
could. Yeah.
Maybe you should have been teaching accounting.
Great AI.
Yes. Yeah.
Can I just
Maybe the
going with,
No, I
I
think,
think you're talking about where it's like option 1, option 2, option 3. I did have a question. Is that your total ask or is that the ask just of the village?
That would be the ask of what, I guess, what people would be comfortable saying, hey, we can maybe take 50,000 of that 51,000 or 10.
Okay,
I mean, it's kind of,
what I'm
yeah.
getting at is, was this the ask of the school
Right.
and the village together, or were these individual? Do you need 51,000
Yeah,
total,
that's
or
total. Yeah.
okay?
We're not-
Okay,
we're-
and Todd's raising his hand too.
Yeah, and that, I think from clarification standpoint, it's not, we need 7,900 from the school district, 7,900 from the village. It's, if we get that 7,500 for, that'll get us through February from the district. So yeah, we're not looking to
Yeah.
capitalize and.
Well, no, I just wanted to know, were you really looking for 102,000 total, or you're looking for 51,000 at the 100%?
Yeah, that's a great question. Yeah.
Jack and then Todd?
I guess I just had one comment in an effort to you know, help Renee. Instead of bringing this back next meeting, should we bring it back 2 meetings from now? That gives you a little bit extra time to kind of look at where the funds are,
Would that be,
right?
would that be easier?
Would that help you or?
Maybe let's hear what Todd has to say. 1 week, 2 weeks, that doesn't, I mean, I'll do whatever needs to be done. It won't help me in the grand scheme of all the stuff I have to do. But, you know, I'll get done whatever needs to get done.
All right,
Thanks,
Todd?
Renee.
Well, I think, first of all, to Jack's question, keep in mind that the school board's budget committee is going to meet, and then they're going to discuss it again at the full school board, which is going to be after the village's first meeting next month. And I think what we learned from the school district is perhaps going to be formative in what we decide to do or not do. So in terms of when should it come back, we're going to have more information and answers that second meeting in February due to the school board schedule. Just sort of my take.
That's our answer. Yeah.
The question I had, another question I wanted to ask of Tim and Brian is under the mission of the coalition, what is their service territory? Is it identified as the perimeter of the school district, the village, the communities adjacent to the school district? How is it identified in your mission or your covenants?
It's essentially when we apply for it through the DFC, we are asked about our zip codes. So it's really the 53597 zip code, and then essentially the student, the student boundaries.
The school district,
Which
is frankly probably why selecting the school district as your fiscal agent made so much sense. And also why approaching them the way you are is a good idea. I guess I'm going to offer this as a challenge to you guys. I understand seeing the village as maybe one of the other bigger pockets in terms of government entities is why you came to talk to us, but let's just be realistic about the fact that there are other local governments in whom there are bars, restaurants, children, and families, besides the boundaries of the village of Waunakee, for whom the coalition is providing services and care. I really would like to challenge your coalition to approach those communities similar to the village of Waunakee, asking for collaboration, sort of in a step of fairness as local government agencies that share in the receipt of the good work that you do. I think from a village perspective, that would be pretty meaningful. So I'll toss that out and see if you guys are open to that, or perhaps you've already done that, or what it might take to do that. More meetings for you, right?
That could be. And I think, I absolutely understand that perspective too, Todd. I think a lot of where our lens was initially is that so much of what we do is connected directly to the school, which makes sense, right? Our focus is primarily on youth, but it is focused on the community. It's a healthy and resilient Waunakee. And then so much more of our funding has gone directly to the community, I think, events, the Walktoberfest, the Wanafest, the Wannaboom, the St. John's Festival, because those are the ones that are central to the biggest things in the village that I can remember or think of, and the ones that occur on an annual basis. So I think
that makes sense. Correction, for what it's worth, Walktoberfest actually occurs in the town of Westport.
Yeah. Correct.
So,
okay.
I mean, I think
we don't allow
balance.
goats.
Yes, I get that. Yep.
Yeah, I think there's a reasonable balance to think about, and I think, putting it out there is a matter of collaborative fairness and participation from local governments looking to support this from a funding perspective.
Yep.
Well, one of the things that came out of this whole situation is we're having this meeting essentially 3 or 4 years before we were supposed to have it. This meeting would occur normally in year 8, 9, and 10, where we'd be looking to 100% sustainability. So it's given us a little bit of a quote scrimmage to see how it's going to go in the future.
All right, yeah, one last comment, and then I think we've got our charge to us, and you've got your charge to you too. So, Erin?
No, I think that wraps up, and I
Yeah.
appreciate what Todd said, and I think it brings us back to Nyla's first question, and it's been on my mind throughout this whole, is just if we can also kind of almost challenge this forum, like the other towns involved in the school district. I think even like Bar Buddies has been a good example of like, it's not just when our borders end, it's kind of like, where can we pick up and like meet alongside our neighbors. So I think we could set a good example in our support, but I just would really also encourage our neighboring entities and bodies to also support your cause. So we're really thankful because harm reduction is proven to work. So
And there's those loose affiliations that are out there. I mean, we invited or have those conversations with Bar Buddies program and try to figure out where we can all, because it's all the same idea, right? We want to keep people safe and community safe and vibrant and healthy.
All right. Thank you guys. for the
Thank
work
you
that you're
very
doing.
much.
Yeah,
Thanks, guys.
absolutely. Thank you. All right. What else is on our agenda? Discuss and take action on claim by Alexander Lennon. So, and with this, Lauren, is this you? For the last one, Todd? Discuss and take action on claim by Alexander Lennon.
So I can take on, but we do have an attorney that has been assigned, and that's Jasmine. She is online. This was assigned, is she still in the Zoom? Oh. As an attendee, okay, so, I don't know.
Are we going into closed section?
Well, why don't I suggest we bring Jasmine in to just
Alright.
explain what is to be, what the purpose of going into closed session is for, so the public is aware, and then continue from there with the discussion that needs to happen in closed.
So Jasmine, if you, I'm not sure if you're unable to unmute.
I believe I am. Can everybody hear me?
We can hear you. Yes.
Okay. I'm not sure if you can see me. But the purpose of going into closed session is to discuss and take action on the notice of claim filed by Alexander Lennon. And I actually I was sent a different link, so I have the other kind of closed session meeting link open as well.
All right. Then I think is there anything we need to discuss in open section about this or move straight to closed session? Assume move straight to closed session. All right, so move straight to closed session or contemplate moving closed session. The village board may convene in closed session as authorized by Wisconsin statute 19.85 1G for the purpose of conferring with legal counsel for the village board who is rendering oral or written advice concerning strategy to be adopted by the village board with respect to litigation in which it is or is likely to become involved. The village board may reconvene in open session and discuss and take action on the subject matter discussed in closed session. So with that, do we have a motion to go to closed session?
So move.
Second.
All right. Everyone seconds. Yeah. Roll call vote when you're ready, Carla.
Okay, so let's start with Sam Kaufman.
Yes.
Jack Heineman,
Yes.
Kristen Runge,
Yes.
Joe Zisselsberger,
Yes.
Aaron Moran,
yes.
Nyla Fry,
Yes.
Chris Zellner.
Yes.
All right, we will begin closed session as soon as the room is clear. Thank you.
And room, we will go ahead and bring you in on the Zoom link that we sent you earlier.
All right.